Over on Twitter, I think my takes are generally pretty normal and level-headed, and for the most part, I think people would agree with me, but I also apparently seem to have a lot of hot takes as well. And I think we can all agree that the yellow paint incident proves that. Well, this time I wanted to see what hot takes everyone else has to say. I asked you guys on Twitter for specifically FPS related hot takes, and now I'm going to respond to some of them and give my own thoughts. This section of the video will be unscripted, so forgive me if I sound a lot more rambly, but I thought it would make for a more interesting reaction to them. Alright, here's our first take. FPS games are better in VR. Obviously there's degrees to this, but I think there are some games that absolutely benefit from VR and should be turned into VR. I think the best VR games are games that are already complete experiences on flat screen that are then turned into VR games, like what they did with Resident Evil 4. They turned that into a first person VR game, and it's really cool. I think a game like BioShock would work really well in VR. Half-Life 2's VR mod is great. Any game that you can play traditionally without needing like a bunch of controls, if you can put that into VR, you're probably going to have a really good experience on your hands. I think developers should be looking at VR more. Crossplay has done more damage to gaming than good. I don't really agree, because crossplay, while it does introduce keyboard and mouse versus controller, as long as you've got the mechanics down, to have a fair fight between them, it's not that bad. But what really is the advantage of crossplay is multiplayer games that don't have a lot of players to begin with. Like, for example, the new Metal Gear Solid Delta game coming out won't have crossplay, and I think that's going to really hurt the game in general. I know it's not an FPS game, but it's what came to mind. I don't see a game like that having a lot of players to begin with, and at least if you had crossplay, you would definitely be able to find players, and I think it would have saved a lot more games that have died out now. Also, crossplay lets you play with your friends that are on Xbox or PlayStation if you're on a console. It's just a good thing, in my opinion. Doom Eternal haters just don't know how to play FPS games. I don't know about FPS games in general, but I do think a lot of people that don't like Doom Eternal purely don't like it because it's a skill issue. They just can't get to grips with it. It's a very fast game. I have no idea how people play this on controllers. I do think Doom Eternal it's a skill issue game. Like, you gotta learn to get good at it. And obviously not everyone that dislikes Doom Eternal is because it's not just because they're bad at it, but it pushes you a lot further than most single player FPS games would, especially for AAA games. A lot of these people playing it might not have played an indie boomer shooter before, so like a game this fast, this involved, like this just might be foreign to them. So yeah. Modern Warfare 2019 single-handedly revived Call of Duty, and I don't understand the hate the fanbase has for it. Well, I should probably preface this by saying I haven't actually played Modern Warfare 2019, but I'm pretty sure Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 are pretty close. The thing about Modern Warfare 2019 is I don't think COD was ever in danger of dying out to begin with. It's such a massive franchise. I don't think it could be touched. It can have dips and all, but I think people will come back to it eventually no matter what. I will say it did change enough from what I saw to make people look at COD again and go, oh, like they're doing something different this time, and it spawned the new Modern Warfare trilogy. Unfortunately, Modern Warfare 2 spawned COD HQ, but that's another topic entirely. I don't know if it revived Call of Duty. Call of Duty wasn't in any danger of dying. It just, whenever a COD game comes out, people are like, this is it, the franchise is in the dirt. Sometimes it's true, but it's never in any danger. Ultrakill is easily the worst New Blood game. Right, I don't know what you're smoking with this one, because even though Ultrakill is unfinished, I can easily say it's one of the best FPS games ever. You're given so much mechanical depth, you can perform so many different combos, there's so much tech I don't know anything about. The game rewards you for being good by, I think your health regen's better, or something, when you have higher points, higher ranking. Not just that, the level design itself, every level is like the peak of another game. Like, you see this gorgeous location and you're like, holy shit, how can the game get any better? And then you get to the next layer and it's like, holy shit, how can the game get any better? And then you get to the next layer and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is just gonna keep going, isn't it? Like, it's not even finished, but the game just keeps getting cooler and cooler. The atmosphere, the music, how tight it all feels. Everything about it feels so incredibly inspired. I think Ultrakill is like a masterpiece, honestly. I'm not that amazing at it, but I can recognize it for how good it is. Subjective as hell, but I'm sick of references to Doom or other old school FPS games in modern retro shooters. We get it, you like Doom, as if we couldn't tell. I don't think it's that bad to wear your influences on your sleeve, People want to pay respect to Doom because it's an important game. I get like sometimes it's like, okay, we get it. Like you like old school games. This is where you came from. I do think a game should be able to stand on its own two legs above everything else, but I don't think it's that bad to just sneak in a little reference here and there. Crouch should default to toggle and be bound to C. I agree with the first part. You should be cast into the depths of hell for the second part. Always on control by default. That is my hot take. Unreal is better than Half-Life. Assuming we're talking about the single player Unreal game, I don't know if I'd say better, but I think it's held up better in my opinion. Play Unreal today and the atmosphere is just so immersive, like stepping out of the spaceship at the start and like hearing the music, seeing how big the maps are. Like stepping outside and seeing these huge vistas, feeling tiny in the map. It's still a feeling that's not replicated as much as I think it should be, and I think Unreal stands the test of time better than Half-Life does. Not to say Half-Life's aged poorly, but here's another hot take for you. I can't really go back to vanilla Half-Life. Like Black Mesa is it for me. I love Black Mesa. It tells the story better in my opinion. It's paced better. If we're saying Black Mesa doesn't exist and there's only these two games, I think I would say that Unreal is a more interesting game to go back to than Half-Life, but Half-Life is obviously far more influential. Every COD is the worst COD until it's 10 years old and the nostalgia hits. Get ready for Infinite Warfare revisionism next year. I will always stand by and say that Infinite Warfare wasn't that bad. I don't know where the hate came from. Like, if I remember correctly, COD Ghosts was a little bit more futuristic, I think. Advanced Warfare definitely was. I don't know if people were immediately sick of the like wall running and all that. I think Black Ops 3 came next. I'm not sure, but just around all this, like, yeah, it wasn't your typical boots on the ground combat, but people were just evil to this game. From the trailers alone, this was like the most disliked trailer on all of YouTube at the time, and I don't think Infinite Warfare, I don't think its campaign's a masterpiece by any means, but it's fun. You get to do like little side quests and fly spaceships around and shoot shit, and there's like a cool robot guy. It's not that bad, honestly. Original Xen is good. Interloper might be the most overhated level in a video game ever. Black Mesa Xen, while incredibly beautiful, is just an overlong, boring switch hunt. I don't think Xen's that bad. It doesn't go on long enough to be like, this is awful, this is a slog. You know, it's just there for the last while of Half-Life. I do like the alien nature of it, just how foreign and weird everything is. The immediate like platforming puzzles at the start. It's just weird. Black Mesa Xen, it's a completely different vibe. I think it's gorgeous. I do think it's a bit of a bold risk to put so many hours of the game after, I forgot what the last Earth chapter's called. You think you're getting to the end, but now you've got hours and hours left still. For the most part, I think it does do the new Xen really well until you get to, I think it's Interloper, the Vortigaunt factory. They like reuse this plug puzzle over and over. It's awful, it's boring, it's like, why does this go on so long? But I do think the chapter redeems itself at the end with that cool controller elevator fight with the infinite glue-on gun ammo. Also, the final boss against the Nihilinth is fucking awesome in Black Mesa. It's so cool just having endless amounts of shit hurled at you and like all these explosions and stuff. It's a really cool final boss. The Ultrakill butt plug craze that took the boomer shooter world by storm should have resulted in 3 years jail time and 3 years community service for all parties involved due to obscenity laws. I'm gonna have to agree with that. What the fuck was that butt plug shit? Like, what? I don't even know, come on. Quicksaving is a crutch that excuses bad design and kills a lot of the potential challenge in all but the most insane shooters. I am gonna have to agree. I like quicksaving as an option, but think about how many games you have quicksaved and reloaded that quicksave after a battle. You use quicksave as a crutch to get around a design issue or something you don't like. You take that out and imagine how much more frustrating the game you're thinking of could be. Like Blood. Think of episode 1 of Blood with the cultists. Imagine playing Blood for the first time and you never quick save and you're fighting them and you just die over and over and you have to restart level over and over. It would be insane and everyone would hate the game. Quick saving is definitely a crutch. I'm glad it's there, but I feel like some developers need to think about their design better and just say, you know what, I'm not going to have quick saving in this game. You're going to have to roll with your choices. You're going to have to deal with the challenge and we're going to balance the game around it properly. Blood 2 is not as bad as people make it out to be. Never played it, purely because it's fucking impossible to run for me. Like, I've tried all the solutions, it does not want to cooperate. But either way, I know it was unfinished. The developers didn't get a choice in that. It's more the promise that interests me. I think, and I've seen Night Dive say it themselves, that this is a game they would like to remaster. At least I think this is along those lines. And I think that's a good idea. I think remastering a bad game or a game with potential into something better, talking with the original developers, seeing what you can re-implement, what you can finish up, all that. And I like the premise, you know, take Caleb from old times, put him into the modern day, or the future actually. Give him more futuristic guns. It's cool. I think Blood 2 is a promising game that just isn't that good as it currently is, and if it got a remaster, I think it could potentially be at good status. Medieval, Dusk, and Fallen Aces are great because they're short. Dread Templar, Harrot, Proteus, and most shooters get boring from being too long, like Duke Nukem Forever. Angerfoot, Mullet Mad Jack, Ultrakill, etc. are too long, but varied and fast enough that they don't get boring. It definitely does depend on how varied you can make your game and how good the gameplay is to carry itself. If Dusk and a Medieval were any longer, I do think they would not be held so highly. Like, they just have enough mechanical depth, interesting locations to carry it as long as it is. I don't find Proteus and all that boring, but I can definitely see why people would. Like, the variety, there's not that much variety when it comes to the aesthetics and just how much the mechanics change down the line. Not every game listed here is a boomer shooter, of course, but I think shorter in length for those games is better. Gun jamming mechanics, complicated reloads, clunky movement, gun ergonomics, limited ammunition, etc. are all immensely more interesting and engaging than tight and seamless gunplay / movement. Completely agree. I think these mechanics add so much spice to a game. When people talk about Far Cry 2, there's like two sides, people who love the gun jamming and people who hate it. I liked going out of my way to use shitty guns so that they would jam because it introduces variety into the combat. You might think you're like safe in this encounter and then some of your gun jams and now you gotta run for cover. Like, just small things that can change up how the game plays. It's cool. I don't think every game, this might be hot, but I don't think every game should be streamlined. I think you should have a bit of roughness in there. Not everything should go according to plan, because that's how a game becomes boring. When you can predict how everything's gonna go, then it's no longer... not always, sometimes it's still fun, but like, just a randomness is nice. Random but fair. If it's like you're just gonna get one shot by an enemy for no reason at all, then no, of course. But things that introduce friction into the gameplay, I like that. More games should do that, for sure. Think of Receiver 2, for example. You got pretty much everything here. Your gun can jam, there's complicated reloads, the movement is weird, you gotta like spam W to run. The ammunition is limited. It's interesting because all you're really doing in that game is going through warehouses and shooting drones, which isn't that exciting. But when you add in all of this, it becomes so much more tense. You got to make sure your gun is loaded properly. You got to make sure there's a round in the chamber or whatever. Got to watch out for the gun jamming. It's cool. Games should look to implement more of these features, especially anyone making first-person shooters right now. Marauders suck. Okay, this is obviously in reference to Doom Eternal, and I do agree. To all but the highest skill levels of players, I think they just introduce an annoyance to the game. You can get by knowing, like, a Cacodemon, I'm going to shoot a grenade in its mouth. A Mancubus, I'll shoot the arm cannons, whatever. But a Marauder, it's like, well, now if I'm at this distance, he's doing this. If I'm too close, he does this. But it's just, he's like weirdly janky. Like, he'll just like dash to the left for no reason, or he'll just smack you with his axe. And it's like, I don't know what I am doing to inflict this behavior upon myself. It's like the opposite of what I was saying at the last point. Like, I do like randomness, but in a game like this where everything feels deliberate, like, you know, like a Cacodemon, grenade, Mancubus, arm cannons, a Ragnatron, turret. And then this guy comes along, it's like, I don't know the absolute most ideal strategy, apart from waiting for him to turn green and spamming my ballista and super shotgun. And he takes all of your attention away from everything else to focus on him. It's the one piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit with the rest. I don't like Marauders, really, I know. I think most people have come around to them. I haven't. I don't like them. Nothing will ever truly compete with Call of Duty, let alone kill it. Well, a lot of people this year seem to think Battlefield's going to dominate. And it might be true, but like I was saying earlier, I don't think Call of Duty is ever in any real danger of dying. They can fumble all they want. They could take all the guns out of the game, only put knives in, and people would still buy. It's just a franchise that's always going to make money no matter what. It's never in any danger of being killed, in my opinion. Okay, that's going to do it for part 1 of this take video. I decided to split it into 2 parts because it ended up being around 40 minutes, and I don't want to edit a 40-minute video all at once, nor do I think you want to see a 40-minute video of nothing but hot takes. So I'll put out a second part to this video, which will be the remaining hot takes, so I'll see you then.